Okay, it's day 220 of this germination experiment. I have 2/3 of a scoop of Bloom Booster mixed in. The bottom of the water tray is drying. The soil is still a little bit wet, but I figured I might as well just feed this. It's day 234. These vines have thickened considerably at the base. They're not quite as thick as a human average-sized male pinky finger, but they're very, very thick compared to what they used to be, and there's a leaf primordia there. So first, an overview of the growth. All the leaves over there, all of these, vine offshoots for vine number 3, and this, and all of this stuff. It was all just wilted 3 days ago when I came back from vacation in Yellowstone. So I thought I would have to prune and get rid of half of my leaves again. But after I watered, 6 days without water, I bet by day 2 this spot was bone dry. Everything got absorbed within about an hour, and these leaves just perked up, so I was so relieved from that. But we still have the problem of spider mites. If you've been watching my ginger germination series, I used hydrogen peroxide, a very dilute solution. A 26-fold dilution of 3% hydrogen peroxide solution to spray my plants. It seems to have worked. These are all terminal instar, fully grown spider mites. Spider mites are neither spiders nor mites. The beta-cyfluthrin in the past seems to have worked. I don't know if that's what killed these, but if I were to shake this leaf and kind of scratch my fingernail and try to poke them. It's tough with this kind of leaf though, because it's all fuzzy and veined like that, so they have plenty of nooks and crannies to hide behind. So even with a fine mist spraying of hydrogen peroxide, I don't think I can nail everything. The eggs are also immune to that. For now, I'm exploring hydrogen peroxide in dilute solutions. I'm still testing with percentages in order to find a practical, safe, cheap solution that's environmentally friendly and human friendly to kill spider mites and other bugs without harming plants. And here you can see this mottled look of a leaf that's been infested for a really long time by spider mites of all sizes. As for the melon, I had really high hopes for this, but after the first maybe 2 weeks it stopped gaining in size. It turned from a fuzzy green lush state to kind of yellow and wrinkled, and I knew it was doomed like all the others that had come before it. So there you can see a live adult spider mite. I'm going to spray it. We'll see if it keeps moving. It looks like it stopped moving. It's a very dilute percentage of hydrogen peroxide, 3 point something percent of 3%. Well, if nothing else, it seems to have slowed down. I don't know if it's going to die. Before I embark on a hydrogen peroxide spraying spree to kill all the spider mites, let me show you all the progress that's been achieved while I was gone on vacation and since day 220. Basically, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen a huge amount of vegetative growth, but not so many flowers, and that kind of concerns me. Here's an outside view looking in from my balcony, using the railing as a trellis. That's a lot of leaves. There's been a lot of leaf production. This is one of the biggest leaves. It's very dark and lush. It's the size of my palm, and we've got quite a few of these for vine 1. Here's an outside view of vines 2 and 1 to the right. They're all starting to blend together. There's just been explosive vegetative leaf growth. This is just me doing some hydrogen peroxide free-for-all spraying to try to kill some of those adult spider mites and any juveniles that might be hanging around. I probably won't be able to kill any eggs like this, or at least that's what I read. And it seems to have worked so far, but I'm not 100% convinced that this is a permanent solution, but I'll play around with the concentrations. The other thing that worries me is that I'm not getting a lot of flowers, and maybe that has something to do with it being already September, or maybe I'm using too much of that Bloom Booster fertilizer, but I was under the impression that that would work. So I made a whole 2 liters of some more very dilute hydrogen peroxide. So yeah, you can hear this thing fizz. I don't like the ginger, there's no springtails in here. It's day 237. I bought a monstrous 20-inch diameter pot. It can hold 3 times the amount of soil as this pot does, which I once thought was very large. So let's get started. I know transplants are very hard on plants typically, and hopefully I won't cause too much damage. So the first order of business is to dump a lot of fresh new soil in there. That's probably equal in volume to what I already have in the 14-inch diameter pot. And I wedged my hand around 4 different places and just pulled, which was a mistake because I severed the bottom half, or maybe like 60+% of all the roots that were down there, and those were just lost and severed. So here I'm just recycling them. But I'm also wondering whether those roots and that root ball that's been severed can spawn new plants. It'd be very interesting to see if that happened, but it's so late in the game I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen during winter time. I ended up doing 4 2-liter bottle waterings with tap water, and I hope that's enough to at least get these plants going and stop wilting, because it had gotten to the point where everything started sagging within 24 hours because there just wasn't enough water retention capability in the 14-inch diameter pot. So I hope this really helps and that the root systems of these 3 vines colonize this space within a week or 2. And hopefully that'll lead to good things and enable melon production in the future.